I know that it's so tempting when you decide to learn a language. You are in that honeymoon phase and you become mildly obsessed with the language and everything in that language, and it's you want to gather up as many resources as you possibly can.
Todos necesitamos sentirnos llenos, llenos. Lo bueno se nos escapa en cualquier momento. Tienes que intentar luchar por seguir tus sueños, sueños, sin olvidar mantener los pies en el suelo.
Hey guys, it's been a while since I made a video, and the reason why is because I've been thinking a lot about the kind of videos that I want to make. And so it's so hard for me to get my thoughts out. This is like the 5th or 6th take of this, but I'm just gonna go ahead and roll with it. So anyway, I've been thinking about the kind of videos that I want to make, and I would really like to make videos that are valuable to you all as polyglots or aspiring polyglots or language learners or language lovers. And I thought about the kind of videos that I look for, so I decided that that's what I would do, is try to provide something that I would want to see. So this video is going to be about learning a language for free. I know that it's so tempting when you decide to learn a language. You are in that honeymoon phase and you become mildly obsessed with the language and everything in that language, and it's you want to gather up as many resources as you possibly can. And then a few weeks down the road you get overloaded and you realize how much money you have spent on so many books, and you're not really sure which book is the best book and which book should you continue with, which book should you try to sell or give away. If you know what I'm talking about, then more than likely you have done this. So this is the reason why I'm doing this video, because I realized that I actually do not buy books. And this just occurred to me a few weeks ago as I was watching different polyglots on YouTube and on Instagram, and I saw their libraries of all of these beautiful textbooks and beautiful grammar books and whatever in their target language. And that's when I realized I actually don't have that many books. I have quite a few Spanish books, but my Spanish journey is over 20 years old. Meow. Comparatively speaking, I don't have a lot of Spanish books. I am studying Burmese now, if you don't already know from my previous videos, and this is my one book that I have in Burmese. It is a pocket dictionary that I purchased on eBay. You can also get this on Amazon. And this book is not that thick, as you can tell. It's a very thin dictionary. It doesn't have a lot of words, but I have found it very useful. And I would like to have a thicker dictionary, but I have not really had the need to purchase one. In the future I will, and so I do think it is good to have a dictionary and also a grammar book. But if you don't have money, or you don't have a lot of money to spend, maybe you're a student, maybe you're on a limited budget, maybe you just don't want to invest that much money in a language before you know if you're really going to like it, so then this video would be for you. So let me tell you some of the tips or some of the things that I have done to learn a language basically for free, if you're not counting time because time is valuable also. So, one of the things that I do when I first learn a language or when I first decide to learn a language is I want to try to listen to it as much as possible. And if you have access to the internet, you're watching this video, so you do have some sort of access to the internet. There are a number of ways that you can find audio in that language and listen to it. This is so important. Listening gives you a very good foundation for the sounds once you start learning them. So I would find something fun to listen to. Listen to music. Find series in that language. For example, I watch Myanmar Idol, which is like the American Idol, but the Myanmar version. They also have Myanmar's Got Talent, and I do believe they have Myanmar X Factor. So I try to watch Myanmar Idol, and I've watched a little bit of Myanmar's Got Talent to pick up some phrases in Burmese. And you can kind of decipher when you hear people saying the same thing over and over again, especially if you're used to watching shows in that kind of format. So that's what you can do for listening. Also, you can find podcasts and different things in that language if you're able to search in that target language. Another thing that you can do is, in order to get a good foundation, you can check out Duolingo. It's a free app. I'm sure if you know anything about learning languages, you have heard of Duolingo. Duolingo has a number of, I don't know offhand how many languages they have now on Duolingo, but if you speak English, there are a number of languages available to you to learn basic grammar on Duolingo. And if you speak Spanish, then there are even more languages available to you. And they also have other, I believe you can learn languages also from German and Dutch, if those are your native languages, or if you happen to speak those languages as a very strong second language, you can learn your third language on Duolingo through those languages. So it's a really good resource for getting a nice foundation in grammar. If you are a book person and you feel like you need to have those solid guidelines from a book, then you can get free books that are downloadable on archive.org. I have found an Italian for beginners textbook on archive.org, also colloquial Korean on archive.org. Archive.org is it's an online nonprofit library. I'm reading from the website. Millions of free books, movies, software, music, websites, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But basically, it's all free. Some of it you can download, and some of it you can borrow, just like you would from a library, from your neighborhood library. Except this would be an electronic version, so you would be able to use this material for a limited time. I can't remember how long it is, but I think it is something like 2 weeks. And of course you can borrow it again, but I think you have to wait a certain amount of time. And also there are some things that you can get on a wait list to borrow, just like you would at a library if someone already has the book out. So it's a wonderful resource for finding textbooks if you feel like you need to have a textbook. Also, you can learn a lot of vocabulary just by watching YouTube videos. There's so much free content on YouTube of people who are teaching languages, and they're teaching them in a very practical way, so you can learn that way, or gather some vocabulary that way. Also, another good resource for vocabulary, and I know it gets a lot of flack from language learners is Google Translate, but it is getting better and better because I have been using Google Translate for Burmese. The one thing I can say, what I will say about Google Translate is that you have to make sure that you are using it the right way. Putting full sentences into Google Translate for most languages is not going to work. But if you're looking for verbs, then Google Translate can be a very good resource. So I would not count it out. And that kind of goes into my next point, finding a native speaker. So you can use HelloTalk which is a language app, and there are a number of other language exchange apps that you can use to locate native speakers and practice with them. And you can use Google Translate to find verbs, to find new vocabulary to help you communicate with that native speaker, and they can correct you and say, well, no, it's not this word in this context, perhaps it's another word. Also, you can find people on your own to talk to without using a language exchange app. If you live in a big city, you can go to supermarkets, ethnic supermarkets or restaurants to try to find people who speak the target language, and just make conversation with them and tell them that you're learning and ask them to teach you a word every time you visit or teach you a new sentence. Also, you can look for language exchange partners from other polyglots who have learned that language and perhaps mastered that language. They would love to help you. Also, and you can find them on Instagram or on YouTube or just about any social network, Facebook. So there are a number of ways that you can try to find people to communicate with. But the most important thing that you want to remember when you're learning a language for free, when you're not buying all of these resources, is that you want to make sure that you get your speaking, listening, and those basic things in. So speaking, listening, reading, and writing. And so that brings me to the next point. You want to make sure that you have a notebook. It is absolutely imperative to have a notebook that is dedicated to that language, so that you can put everything that you want in there and you don't have to worry about switching back and forth, confusing things with other languages. If you're learning several languages at once, like I am, I just decided to have 3 different notebooks or 4 different notebooks for the 4 languages that I'm learning. So that's it. I hope this video was helpful to you guys. If it was, please let me know in the comments, and also let me know what you're doing. What free resources are you taking advantage of to learn a language? Which things have you found the most helpful, and which things do you feel are perhaps time wasters? Also, if you like this kind of content, if you want to see more of these kinds of videos, then go ahead and give me a thumbs up, guys, and subscribe. Happy language learning.
Todos necesitamos sentirnos llenos, lo bueno se nos escapa en cualquier momento. Tienes que intentar luchar por seguir tus sueños.